could be.
I've never
I
seen.
hate doing that. You know I do, but I think
I've never seen anything like it.
I know. He's really freaking good.
I don't think we ever will again either.
You think?
Gentlemen, if you don't mind, we can argue that in here just a little bit. Folks, welcome to the late hit. Welcome back again. Man, we're still allowed to do this, I guess, so that's pretty cool.
That's good.
To my right, we have Habe. My left, your right, Chad Simpson. Fellas, let's dive into it.
All right.
We're going to start with the NFL. I know the season's over. We talked about this last time. But we're going to jump into the Combine talk because it's huge for a couple of reasons. Habe is a little more angry about the Combine than most folks.
I'm always angry.
What don't you like about it? Why don't we just hop into that? Let's just get it out of the way.
My biggest thing is what's important. What's actually what do people actually take away from that from the Combine, except for a TV show that the NFL Network gets to use to get ratings in the off season. You know, the 40's not that important. As much as we watch it and we wait for it and we write all the players down and their numbers and everything, it's really not that important because not many rushes go off for 40 yards. I think last season it happened 5 times. Todd Gurley went off for 5 rushes of 40 yards or more, and Doug Martin and Adrian Peterson had 4. That's it. I don't even know who's next in line after that, but that's not very many. So why are we so interested in it? You know, they do everything there. The medical records are important. You know, you want to know guys' height and weight and everything. And we talked about this before, that the interviews are really important. You know, what questions they get asked, or more or less how they answer them, which is huge. And they have a lot of crazy questions. I know when Des Bryant was in the Combine, he was asked about if you know, about his mom. Like, is your mom hot? Or, you know,
She's not.
Stuff like that. Like, that's crazy.
I think she's out.
No, not my mom does mom.
Okay, sorry.
I know the big question is, and it's like every year they talk about it, are you a cat person or a dog person? Or who do you think yourself more as? And I know Cam Newton said in his interview during the Combine, he didn't think of himself as a cat or a dog. He thought of himself as a human. So that's kind of a good answer, you know, to make people smile.
I mean, that wasn't the question.
I know, but he took his own spin with it. And here's the thing. Cam Newton, a guy like Cam Newton, he knows he's going to go first or second overall before the draft. He knew that. And so he can answer that question. Some of these guys that are going and they're putting their whole life at stake, their whole career at stake, they have to answer those silly questions, and they have to do it the right way.
My question to you, do you trust a guy who doesn't like dogs?
No.
Or do you trust a guy that likes cats?
Hell no.
I have grown to love cats.
As have I.
Over the past about a year now.
Yeah.
Been around 2 of them. Love them.
You disgusting.
Definitely a dog man though.
Yeah.
But now I think if you said what you just said to an NFL coach or NFL scout, they would say you're absolutely wrong.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
they
because
they know they're looking at completely different stuff than what the average viewer is looking at.
I know,
And
but
I mean, if they're getting to see these guys in person too, I think that's a huge part of it. They want to see these guys run in person. They want to see them make cuts.
But they're not
person.
in pads.
No, and that's true. But I'm still like the quarterbacks, like seeing what throws they can make, their timing on the throws, their footwork, how quick their release is, and seeing it in person is a lot different than seeing it.
I get that too, and that stuff's important. But I'm talking about the bench press or the 3-cone drill,
Yeah.
or and the 40-yard dash for a defensive lineman or an offensive lineman. How many times have you ever seen, other than on an interception or something,
score,
scoop
baby.
and score? I know you were going to say that, where a lineman is going 40 yards, and you're not looking at that for him to draft. Him doing that in a scoop and score, that's great. But you're not going to say, when Jeff Saturday scoops and scores and runs it for 40 yards, or go, that's why I drafted him. He ran a 5.2 40 or something silly like that.
Yeah, obviously for some positions it doesn't make any sense.
doesn't make any sense.
But you got to run it through for everybody.
Well, and I think that like it's more meant for players that may not be known as well as the big players. That's why you see a lot of quarterbacks. They're not going to throw at the combine sometimes. They'll mess their chances up, whatever. But then you go in there and you see a guy that maybe you know who he is. You've seen a little film, but you get there and you see in person, and you're like, man, this kid stands out to me.
Yeah.
He's explosive, you know. He had a whatever vertical, you know.
That's
things
important.
stand out.
That's vertical for wide receivers, for cornerbacks, and some linebackers, outside linebackers. But I'm just there's so much that we put into this in the NFL Combine that it seems it's silly. It's just silly. That's why they call it the Underwear Olympics. I know Bill Polian said before that each position they have a certain thing that they want them to fall into. So a wide receiver, you want them to have a great 40. And a lineman, you may want them to have a good bench press, but them bench pressing 225 30 times, how does that translate really to the field? How does that translate them knowing plays and getting off the ball, and getting to point A to point B?
Well, I think it does go back to what Chad was saying. It gives those guys a look at the guys
that don't
exactly
yeah.
like for instance Will Fuller. You knew I was going to bring him up.
Yeah. Well, I would love to talk about him.
He was a second-team All-American. Didn't make first team. He didn't get that many looks.
Ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous.
I think it's ridiculous.
It was stupid.
Yeah.
But look at all the excitement, all the hype that he's created from the combine. He ran a 4.32 40. He looked fantastic in all of his drills,
Sure.
and now his stock rose based on that.
Sure.
So it is more for the guys that maybe you don't pay all that much attention to because you've got your Goffs, your Carson Wentz, and guys like that at the front running of the.
But what kills me, and I love Will Fuller, I do. But what kills me is these wide receivers and quarterbacks at the combine. I know their footwork's important on both sides: wide receiver, cornerback, linebacker, cornerbacks. But they're not playing against anyone else. They're not doing it against anyone else. How are wide receivers off the ball when they get jammed? That's important.
Gotta bring some peanut butter.
I think the pro day is way more important than the combine is.
Yeah.
But look, for example, Darius Hayward-Bay. I thought, how religiously I do NFL
Combines,
drafts
yeah.
and things like that. I thought he was like a third-round pick.
Yeah.
But he ran that 40, and it's the Raiders. It might not be the best example. They're like, man, that dude's fast. I'm gonna get it.
That's what they did.
I'm gonna get it.
And he's terrible. He's garbage.
Yeah.
Got no hands.
You're right, but here's what I like about pro day stuff. Some of those guys will wear pads. I know. I believe, and don't quote me on this, but I'm pretty sure Teddy Bridgewater wore shoulder pads and a helmet during his pro day. But yeah, I just think it's silly. That's really it. I'd like to see them change things drastically. Maybe take out.
Oh, I definitely agree
Take
with
out
that. You
certain
can do
things,
a lot. I think
because it's a 3-day event when they can add more important stuff. Today's Sunday, and they had defensive linemen and linebackers performing, and I don't care to watch them do the 40. It's funny. It entertains me because it's funny to watch some of those guys run 40-yard dashes because they usually have their hand in the dirt. They're not running in a track stance. So watching them get prepared for that is hilarious. It's like, how much further can I lean forward without falling on my ass? Like, it's just funny to me.
Okay, speaking of that, did you guys see the defensive lineman that ran the 40 today fell at the end, and when he fell, his pants came down.
Oh, yeah, I did hear that.
Clearly see his genitalia.
Oh.
And Rich Eisen is one of my favorites, says, well, when these big defensive linemen fall, they fall long and they fall hard.
That's great. See, it's a laughing stock at some points. It's just, I don't know.
Well, it's only really laughable when you lose your draw.
Yeah, you're right. But how many of those guys go out there and embarrass themselves? And they get forgotten. And it's on TV.
See, I don't think because they mess one thing up, one drill, I don't think they get forgotten.
Okay, but
I don't think that the combine's not taken that seriously, really. I mean,
I don't agree with that at all. I think it's taken too seriously, and that's why I brought it up. You can't measure a guy's heart and a guy's determination to play in the NFL by a 40, a bench press, a cone drill, and a shuffle. You can't measure that type of stuff.
See, I heard
a lot of those guys that go in and don't perform well, and maybe don't even have that great of a pro day. Maybe they should be in the NFL, and they can be a good practice squad type of guy and build themselves up. But how much money are they losing because they didn't get drafted when they wanted to, and they turned into a journeyman?
See, I heard the combine described this week, and I think it might have been with you. We were watching it Friday night. Described as the kind of thing that is supposed to back up what you saw in the film.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And if you don't see what you thought you saw in the film, then you just go back and look at the film. So it's either going to prove what you saw, reassure you, or maybe they didn't impress you so much, and then say, well, maybe I ought to go back to the film anyhow.
Okay.
Teddy Bridgewater is going to be the
Terrible.
first overall
Terrible pro day.
pick. Definitely the first quarterback taken all season long his senior year. He was going to be the first quarterback taken.
Yep.
And didn't have a good pro day, and he dropped.
I couldn't be happier though. He's gonna be a career. He's gonna be a franchise guy.
Yeah,
in
I
the
thought he
Minnesota
dropped.
Vikings.
Guess who missed out on him? And they're kicking themselves. Houston.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yep.
And can you imagine him at Houston now? I think with Bill O'Reilly, he would have taken longer strides and been even better. Maybe had a few more interceptions, but I like how I'm going to get into a Vikings thing now. I like how the Vikings are building him up. They have Adrian Peterson to run for him and support him. They're drafting great on defense, and they're giving him time to take those baby steps and become a true franchise quarterback. I really hope that's how it falls out, because instead of slinging 1,000, 2,000 yards,
Yeah.
Before we get too deep into that kind of conversation, Chad, I want you to cover with us your mock draft. Chad's picked the first 11. I see why you stopped at number 11.
Yeah.
You've got it right there in front of you, so go ahead and run down that for me.
Yep. And these are kind of just based off of right now and more of who I think they should pick. And with a little bit of who they're probably going to pick, but more of who I think. Titans at number 1, Laramie Tunzel, offensive tackle. A lot of people thought, a few people could go there, but I think now you have Mariota, who's proved that he's going to be pretty good, I think.
Sure.
You protect him, and their offensive line wasn't good this year. He got hit a lot. He's not a guy that can take a lot of hits. I think you have to protect him.
I think that's a big problem in the AFC South is offensive line. Those teams, all three of those
Very
teams,
true.
all four of those. I'll throw in the Jaguars as well because they're building.
Mm-hmm.
All four of those teams could be AFC championship contenders if they put together an offensive line and maybe got a little better running game.
Mm-hmm.
I know TJ Yell didn't play very much this year. The Tennessee Titans got to get a better running back.
In 4 years, I think the AFC South is going to be one of the strongest divisions in football.
I agree.
I really think that.
I really think, and you guys might not like this, but once the Colts get some youth on their offense to back up Luck and T.Y. Hilton, I think they're going to be great.
I say
They're going to be what we hope they would be.
I think Grigson might just be crazy enough to draft Will Fuller in the first round. Why wouldn't he? Consistency
That
is
might put
key.
me back on the Indianapolis bandwagon, but I'll never fall off.
I'll
the
buy that
Vikings.
jersey that day.
I may.
I'll buy 2.
I almost bought a Teo jersey for the Chargers, but I just hate the Chargers that much.
See, I'd love it in the powder blue. I'd love that
Oh,
powder blue Teo jersey.
LT powder blue. That's
Sorry,
a
back
good
to you.
jersey.
That's a good jersey.
No, you ramble on all you want.
Rather
But yeah, I think Laramie Tunzel's the best tackle in the draft. He's huge. He's a great player. Can run in, pass block. I think that's their smartest choice. They could go after a pass rusher, which might be one of their needs. Their defensive line's pretty good because you're going against Luck.
Yeah.
That's, maybe not this year, but definitely next year. I think
But
the Colts are going to be who you're going to have to beat, and you're going to have to stop Luck, which
But to bring
involves pass rush.
with that being said, to bring it full circle, they can skimp on the defensive line because the offensive line in that conference is just so weak.
Mm-hmm.
They may be able to get those guys in the later rounds
Yeah.
on defense
Mhm.
and pressure and pressure and pressure.
Which is why I think you take the best offensive tackle in the
Sure,
draft.
and the
I
free
think
agency
so.
too.
Yeah. Number 2, Cleveland Browns. Who
here's
knows what these guys
here's
are
a
gonna do?
shock.
Yeah, they
I
need
mean,
everything.
Do they go quarterback? Do they not?
They have screwed up so many times at quarterback. I'd almost like to see them take somebody like Matt Castle, a veteran who has a little bit of a resume, who can complete a pass every so often, complete on third down, and then go for somebody like a franchise guy on
Yeah.
defense because they have lost their defense.
Yeah.
They've got, what's his name, Gordon.
Josh Gordon.
Josh Gordon. If he can stay out of trouble,
The Browns supposedly want him back, so.
yeah, so if they can keep somebody like him and maybe stick to the free agency at quarterback and save the second round or the second overall pick for something other than a quarterback, because everyone knows they are not good at picking quarterbacks. It's just a sad.
Well, and
it's
it's-
sad.
In round 2, I think there's a few quarterbacks there that are projects that they could get, but I think that
That's
they
okay,
are
though.
going. I think the pick should be who I think is the best, and you guys know is best quarterback in this draft, who I think has been underrated and even going to be underrated, is Carson Wentz. But I don't think they're going to do that. I think they want a quarterback to come in and play right now, and Jared Goff from California, I think, is more ready to start this year. He's more polished. I think he's just and probably better in that offense that's going to be ran there. He's accurate. He's got a good arm. He's good in the pocket. I think that's who they're going to take, just because he's more ready and they don't want to miss.
Mhm.
They don't want to take a chance on a Carson. They'd rather go with the guy. You know what I mean? So
Here's the sex appeal of Carson Wentz.
Are you really that into him?
Yeah, apparently.
Hmm.
There's the unknown. Carson Wentz, as far as we know, only has 26 games, I believe, starting at San Diego, or North Dakota State, I'm sorry.
There it is.
I think that he's going to be one of those guys, and I'm not comparing him, I'm just comparing him off of the draft pick. He could be a guy like Tom Brady or Aaron Rodgers. He could come in and sit behind somebody, and then when he gets his chance after sitting, he could be one of the greatest. He could be a new guy of his generation and be the face of a generation of football.
I like him.
And why I really like him, he has that sort of newer age quarterback. You know, like a Luck,
Yeah.
Cam Newton. He has the ability to run a little bit, but
Sure.
he is definitely a passer first.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the new age quarterback kind of thing that's coming on that's working. What I would do if I was the Browns, if I'm GM, I'm trading down. I'm getting more
Sure.
picks.
Oh, for sure.
Because
that's
getting
another
a
thing.
quarterback, even if Jared Goff, they draft Jared Goff and he's the best quarterback and he comes in and plays awesome, they still have a lot of holes on that team and it ain't just quarterback.
What about, and I hate to bring this up now because it's going to turn into a tangent, but Colin Kaepernick. Trade down. I know he wants out of San Francisco. Trade down, get Kaepernick in there. Run that new style offense that is taking over the NFL, and hopefully Hugh Jackson can Wolverine. Hopefully Wolverine can mold him into a decent quarterback. I mean, he was 5 yards away from winning a Super Bowl championship 4 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And he's made of adamantium. It's a tough kid.
Yeah.
He's a heck of a ball player.
Yeah.
Sheesh.
All right, we'll move on. But Jared Goff, the Cleveland Browns is who I have. Number 3, the Chargers, who I think is going to be the steal of this draft. I think he's the best defensive player overall in this draft.
Strong.
Is Jalen Ramsey. Safety, you can play him at corner and do whatever you want with him. From Florida State, he's a veteran. He's proven, and you can play him anywhere. He's like a Tyrann Mathieu. And I think people seeing what Arizona's defense did with a player like Tyrann Mathieu, who can cover, who can tackle, and can be all over the field like a Troy Polamalu type player is who I compare him to. He's really good. A lot of people think you go Bosa there, Joey Bosa from Ohio State.
I'm surprised you
I'm
haven't.
taking Ramsey because they just lost,
what I
what's
said.
his name?
Beardy.
Big beard,
Weddle.
Weddle. They just lost
Eric
Weddle.
Weddle.
Weddle's gone. He's been their good safety there for a year, and they're weak in that spot. You could see him going pass rusher, but I just think you don't pass on Jalen Ramsey there.
I think it'd be cool to see Manti Te'o lining up behind Joey Bosa, though.
Mm-hmm. I don't think
I
you
think
can
it'd be
miss
safe.
at that spot. I think you take either one of those guys,
Sure.
and I think
Yeah.
those are the 2 picks that you would take
both,
there.
Both those guys will improve your defense.
Number 4, Dallas Cowboys, Joey Bosa. What's his face from Nebraska? All I know him as a weed smoker. What's his face?
Mhm.
Can't remember his name.
Greg, what's his face?
Greg,
I got nothing.
whatever his name is, you know who we're talking about. Who they drafted last year, was going to come in and be their pass rusher. Smoked weed again. He smoked weed before the combine, failed there,
Wow.
and a lot of people thought he was the best pass rusher in the draft, but he dropped a bunch. But the Cowboys took a chance on him. Well, guess who's not done smoking weed?
I think they had him in an interview and he just said something like, I just don't feel like running, man.
Yeah.
Damn.
This
is tricky, man.
man. Cowboys, man.
Fucking nachos, bro.
Indians, man. It's crazy. But yeah, I think same with the Cowboys. You could do a couple different things. You could take Wentz there,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
sitting behind Romo.
I like that.
But I think they need another pass rusher opposite side, and I think Bosa's too good of a talent to pass
You
on.
can't
there.
pass on a guy like Bosa.
And,
Well-
and he might not drop to 4. You know what I mean?
Tennessee. Joey Bosa. I mean, we talked about
People-
their defense. He could tear apart that AFC South.
I think Jalen Ramsey would be a great pick for Tennessee
Yeah.
too. I think any of those guys you can't really miss up there. I think
Man,
That's good work you did there, though. I like
Wouldn't,
that.
wouldn't it be awful for the Colts to have to face both Bosa and JJ
And
Watt
J.J.
twice
Watt,
a year?
Well, I'm glad you brought that up because Joey Bosa and J.J. Watt are very similar in their combine. As much as I bash the combine, they're both 6'5". They both ran 4.8. Well, Joey Bosa ran a 4.86, and J.J. Watt ran a 4.84. So how much different, really? Maybe
It's like a lean.
lean, yeah. Their 20-yard shuttle, Bosa had a 4.2 and 2.1. J.J. Watt had a 4.21, and the 3-cone drill is 6.8 for Bosa and 6.8 for Watt.
It's the same guy.
They're the same guy. They're gonna get compared their whole until the draft. I mean,
Well, JJ Watt didn't have this kind of hype coming into the draft.
That is true. That is true.
yeah, he had a little bit, but not. They weren't like J.J. Watt's going to be the best. You know.
Right.
And
Of all
Bosa's
time.
got a chip coming off of that bowl game with the Notre Dame getting that targeting penalty. So.
Let's not linger on that game too long.
Mm.
It's still a little bitter.
I'll kind of go a little quicker here. 5, Jacksonville. A lot of players you could take here. A lot of people think Miles Jack, linebacker from UCLA, but had an injury and he was out all season. I think you take the best true corner in this draft, which is Vernon Hargreaves from Florida, lockdown corner. That's who I would take there. 6, Baltimore Ravens. The Notre Dame University, Ronnie Stanley.
My
There
man.
you go.
They need
He's
help on the
still-
offensive line. They need a lot on defense too. They're weak at DB right now, but I think you go with Stanley there. He's a good player.
That'll be good for Flacco coming off injury too.
Yeah, and I think he's the type of lineman that you can move around. You know, I think he could even play guard. But I think
They did move
eventually-
him around quite a bit at Notre Dame.
Yeah.
So he's used to not being stationary.
Yeah.
Sure.
San Francisco. I just if he's here, I mean, you could go defense. They have a lot of holes to fill too, but Carson Wentz
Yeah,
Yeah.
I strongly
playing in
disagree
that
with
that Chip Kelly offense.
I see where you're going, but I strongly disagree. They need defense so bad.
Oh, they
And
do.
They need a lot.
Blaine Gabbert is somehow come back as a quarterback. He's athletic, but he may run that. He may run that Chip Kelly offense very good. And you don't know if Kaepernick's gone. He requested a trade.
Oh no, yeah.
By March 9th, they have to give him money. So he may stick around and get the money and just work it out there.
But
You know-
here's but
After you, please.
sorry. Here's the thing: if Chip Kelly didn't take quarterback last year, a lot of people thought he was going to. They were going to try to trade up.
Mariota.
Didn't do well.
Yeah, but look at all
Bradford
he
didn't have
lost.
his style of quarterback,
Yeah.
and that is the exact quarterback he would want to take in this draft. He would probably take him first if he could, but
I think
are they
that-
going to do that is the question.
I think the Niners' first mission is getting Colin Kaepernick to stick around. I think
Mm-hmm.
they really do want him to stick around.
You know, it's weird. You get both stories when you talk to different people. You hear that from Kaepernick's guys that he's trying to get out of there, but you hear from Chip Kelly and the general manager that he's having a great time.
Yeah,
and
in a matter of
and he
4
wants to
days.
stay there.
Yeah, in a matter of 4 days, the management came out and said we're happy to have him on the roster, and it'll be a competition between Blaine Gabbert and then Chip Kelly said basically the same thing in his press conference, and then 2 days later, Colin Kaepernick's agent comes out saying he wants a trade. So what's going on there? I think it's just a matter of maybe keeping the media out of it, and they're discussing their own stuff. But it's interesting.
Well,
I
even
think.
even after his agent came out and said that, Chip Kelly said, "Well, that's stupid because he's expressed nothing but wanting to stay here and play for me."
Interesting.
Chip has said that he wants Kaepernick to be his quarterback, but if a guy don't want to play for my team, see you later.
Yeah,
I'm gonna trade
it's
your
true.
ass. I mean, why would you keep him? They were talking about that. I think yesterday, I was watching it. They were saying, well, they said they want him, so they're gonna try to get him to stay. I'm like, why would you want a guy that doesn't want to play for you?
An interesting thing with all this is, and it's a lot of shuffling around, it seems like, but I heard that Chip Kelly wasn't San Francisco's #1 option. Chip Kelly was kind of like, oh, well, he's available now that we didn't get Hugh Jackson.
Hugh Jackson was probably the number
Let's
one.
call Chip and see. He needs a place to go.
Yeah,
So-
he was so desperate. He's like, "Yep."
He was so
I'm in.
exactly. He was desperate. He's like, yeah, why not? So,
Mhm.
and the way he runs his offense, their defense is not good enough. They're not going to be successful there because that defense has got to be stout and on the field all the time. Because Chip Kelly wants to run a fast offense, score quick, keep the defense on the field, and they need a better defense than that in San Francisco.
I mean, San Francisco is just bad all over. I think
Yeah.
Jacksonville, if they played last year, Jacksonville would have wiped the floor with them.
Sure, I think that after they lost their whole defense to retirement, they
Yeah.
just what happened there? You know?
And injuries.
And injuries too. Yeah, that didn't help.
There's a few players you can take at that spot. I think another player, if they don't take Wentz, who they should take, who I have Miami taken at 8, who I think is going to be the best pure pass rusher in this draft, is Noah Spence from Eastern Kentucky. Okay, that went to Ohio State, dominated, and got in trouble. Got
Okay.
kicked off the team.
One of those guys.
Went to Eastern Kentucky and just dominated. Obviously, you're not playing as good of teams, but he's a monster.
Sure.
He's fast and he's big. I have like a lot of people like Shaq Lawson, DeForest Buckner, but I think if you're talking pure pass rusher, I think that's a guy that you would take there.
And it's because he got in trouble is why he's further down on the list, right?
Sure, that's
Yeah, and why I have him higher, just because I don't care. I'm gonna take a chance. I mean, I'm not interviewing
Right.
him, so I don't know. But
Yeah.
You
if
want
we're
to?
going off of tape, I'm taking the kid over a few of these pass rushers.
Sure.
And then I just go pass rusher crazy here because I think there's some good ones here that you can get in this draft, and they're going to go quick. You're going to see them go bang, bang, bang. Like a lot of these guys in here might even be replaced by some of these pass rushers. Tampa Bay, Shaq Lawson, defensive end from Clemson,
Dude's a stud.
stand out.
Yeah.
He's really good. I think that'd be a great pick for them.
He gave Notre Dame's
Yeah,
offensive
we
line fits.
we got to know him pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and maybe if Ronnie Stanley drops, you take him instead of Shaq. Try to protect Winston because their offensive line is not good. But I think Shaq Lawson would be a good pick for them on that defense. Number 10, New York. How do the Giants win Super Bowls?
Defense.
Crazy pass rush.
NASCAR defense.
Not knowing what's going on with
Helmet
Pierre
catches.
Paul. Yeah, exactly.
Luck.
DeForest Buckner, defensive end from Oregon. He's a giant man. He's
Yeah.
super raw, but he is like, I think he's like 6'6" or something
Yeah,
like
he's
that.
at
He's a
least
monster.
6'6".
He wears that giant face mask.
He's terrifying to
Yeah,
look at.
he's crazy. That'd be a really good pick for them, I think, because I think they have to get back to that on defense because they really struggled getting to the quarterback, especially late in games. And then the best pick in the draft at number 11, which a lot of people in their mock drafts right now have Miles Jack going here, which I think he's a really good player, but I'm taking Jalen Smith.
Every time.
To
From Notre
Chicago.
Dame. In Chicago. I think he can anchor that defense, be the guy to come there and play for a long time. And he's a hybrid linebacker. He's super fast, can cover.
Yeah,
and I think that's huge
He
now.
goes sideline to sideline.
think-
He can cover. He can
Mhm.
tackle.
I think him coming off this injury with the ACL tear is going to drop him down because he could go up. He could go up higher.
Oh, he could go
I
a
don't
lot
think-
higher,
yeah.
but I think, and that's even high on some people's lists. But
Now there are reports that there may be some nerve damage based on the injury.
Really?
Yeah. So
Oh, that's
so
depressing.
that might drop him, and they don't know if he's ever going to be the same again. So, which is a real shame. Like,
Yeah.
I'd
He's-
hate to see that for him.
And this isn't biased, honestly. He's a stud. He is just unreal to watch. His pass rushing ability, the way he just squirms through the offensive line,
Oh, he's got
is
great vision.
unreal. Great
Great
vision.
vision.
Unbelievable football IQ too. It's nuts.
Fort Wayne, Indiana.
Mm-hmm.
There you go.
Mhm.
I know you only have the top 11 here, but we were talking about this before the show. Where do you like Will Fuller?
I think it's going to be like, I think a team's going to have to fall in love with him
I have a solution.
to go in the late first round. I
No.
think he's
Yeah, I'll get that jersey real quick. Minnesota Vikings. Mike Wallace is a free agent and they don't want him back. Bring in Fuller. Stephon Diggs, Will Fuller, Cordell Patterson, Kyle Rudolph, his old brother. Vikings are a farm team, or the Notre Dame Fighting Irish are a farm team for the Minnesota
Harry the
Vikings.
Hitman on the other side.
Harry the Hitman. I got more. They're coming, and I would love to see Will Fuller come in.
I'm buying
and
his
play that
jersey
game.
no matter where he goes. I don't care.
I'll buy you a Vikings jersey if he goes. Ooh.
Come on, come on.
Yeah, all right.
Hey, there
Yeah, I'll
we go.
do it.
Yeah.
I got
Pick him up. I
I
want a
owe-
free jersey.
That's all right. I owe this guy a gift anyways, and I think he knows what I'm talking about.
Not even
so,
one of those. Better not be one of those Chinese ones either.
I can't make any promises.
Okay,
It's a price thing.
I'll take it. I'll take a Chinese one.
No, that's legit. If he goes to Minnesota Vikings, I will buy you a Minnesota Vikings jersey. But you have to hang it up back here.
No, I'm gonna
You
wear it.
can wear it on
You hang
Sundays.
you hang yours up.
I have mine hung up.
Your Will Fuller jersey?
Oh,
Yeah,
I see.
we'll
what
have to.
you're
You
saying.
hang yours
Okay,
up, I'll wear
okay.
mine.
That's fine.
Figure it out.
You have to wear it on the first show of the first season, first game of the season if he goes there.
Cool.
After he gets drafted, actually.
I'm in.
Yeah, that's what's up. It's on video.
Okay.
I like that.
We're going to college.
Yeah, he'll be a steal for whoever drafts him. I mean, it's hard to tell. Somebody's gonna have to fall in love with him.
Sure.
Probably gonna go in the second round, but if
That's
he
fine.
drops after that, I mean, that's an absolute steal.
Yeah.
I think he's
Hey,
way undervalued.
Vikings
so
are in the
far.
low 20s. It's a possibility. They need a receiver.
Like,
They've got their whole defense is stacked. In a young defense, they need offense. They need a receiver. I could see Will Fuller going there.
as much as I want the
Just
jersey,
saying.
I don't want to see him in Minnesota, man. I
Why?
don't know.
Teddy Bridgewater.
I just want to see him
young
succeed
quarterback.
somewhere.
Yeah, he will succeed.
Which
I feel like I need to take a drink now. Jeez. Was that planned before the show?
Yeah, we're like at exactly 10:22.
Oh, okay.
Take a drink. Okay.
Drop your pins at 10:23.
I've been drinking all
I've
day.
been drinking coffee all night.
Good deal.
Alrighty. Well, we're gonna keep up with the NFL. Chad's got mock drafts stacked on his
The
desk at home.
days.
He doesn't have a desk, but he's always thinking NFL mock draft, and I'm excited to see what the rest of the first round looks like for him. I'm probably gonna put one together too. Probably not as well thought out.
No, I'll put one together, but it won't be nearly as thought out as Chad's.
I'm actually probably just gonna take his
I'll take the first
and
10.
move a couple
Yeah.
players
I'll
around.
take the first 10 off of Chad's and then go from there.
Just make an argumentative draft towards my draft.
Yeah.
You had him at 15. I had him at like either 14 or 16.
Yeah.
I
So,
don't agree with
I
you.
don't know
could go
about
either
that.
way.
15's a stretch.
alrighty, guys, let's move on to the MLB. Habe has an encyclopedia over here that he wants to go through.
I've got a bunch. It's just a matter of what we want to talk about and what's important.
This is on you, pal.
So,
The
I
MLB
know,
is your baby.
I know it is, man. First off, and most importantly, and this is a pretty serious thing in all sports, is domestic violence. And it's sad that these guys have such a great life going for them, and they can't keep their home life under wraps. Jose Reyes was not at spring training as expected with the rest of the the Colorado Rockies players. The shortstop was placed in court for a criminal proceeding in Hawaii. Reyes was arrested October 31st, 2015 in Hawaii at a hotel after allegedly choking his wife and pushed her into a
Allegedly.
door. Well, he's innocent until proven guilty, so we'll see. But he pushed his wife into a door during an argument. Reyes plead not guilty. He is scheduled to appear in court April 4th, which is the same day as opening day for the Rockies, the regular season opener. According to MLB's new joint domestic violence, sexual assault, and criminal and child abuse policy, as of August 2015, Commissioner Rob Manfred this will be his first opportunity, I guess if you want to call it that, to impose the punishment for this. Reyes is the first player impacted by this. Manfred is expected to make judgment any time now for Reyes, but he is also expected to make judgment on 2 other domestic violence cases in the MLB, with closer for the Yankees, Aroldis Chapman, and Yankees star Yasiel Puig.
Well,
Motherland.
That will, and seriously, that will be followed closely by us here at the Late Hit, and on Twitter at the Late Hit 317, and on Facebook.com/the Late Hit 317. So all that bad news. Here's some fun news. The Red Sox third baseman Pablo Sandoval is fat, apparently, and no one knew it, I guess.
Eddie
before
Lacy
now.
syndrome.
Yeah, he's got a little Eddie Lacy syndrome. He showed up to spring training.
Scientific.
Tacos.
He showed up to spring training in South Fenway a little overweight. As everyone in South Fenway is losing their brains. They're going crazy. And for anyone that's watched Pablo Sandoval's career, they know that he's overweight. This is nothing new.
You know what's funny about that? They're all losing their minds, whereas Packer fans are like, Eddie Lacy looks the same.
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
Everybody having a couple meals, yeah. I mean, Pablo Sandoval's nickname is the Panda. a.k.a. the Round Mound of Pound. He didn't get that name for any other reason than that.
That was my nickname in college.
Yeah.
Bandit?
Round Mound of Pound.
That meant something else, though.
Oh, yeah.
I don't really know what it meant.
I guess but apparently the Red Sox are just now realizing this and have an issue, and I think it may be because of a bad sign. Sandoval is listed at 5'11", 265 pounds on the Red Sox website, and he signed last year. In 2014, he signed a contract including salaries of $17 million in 2014, 15, 16, and 17, and then $18 million in 2018 and 19, with a club option in 2020 for $17 million,
There's so much money in baseball.
with a $5 million buyout.
Oh, okay.
So, and he's got those numbers are guaranteed, and now they're fat shaming him. I wouldn't have a problem with this if they didn't say something before they signed him, like maybe shed a few pounds. But when he's coming right off of spring training, or right into spring training, and he's 10 pounds heavier listed than he was in San Francisco,
Big deal.
I think it's a little silly.
You had a few Chardonnays. What
What
of
of
it?
it?
But yeah, in the Red Sox argument, he did have his worst career numbers his first year in Red Sox for the Red Sox. So there's that.
Everyone, you're going to have your worst year at some point.
Yeah, and
Might as well get out of the way.
And speaking of contracts, Jose Batista has given his management have given numbers to the Toronto Blue Jays for an extension, and he is not willing to negotiate. But Batista will be 36 on October 9th. He signed a 5-year, $65 million extension with the team in 2011. Last November, the Blue Jays exercised their $14 million option to retain him in 2016. Last season, he hit 40 home runs with 114 RBIs, helping the Blue Jays win the American League East, putting Batista into the playoffs for the first time in his career. And we all know his amazing game in the playoffs, where he just blasted a home run off of who was it? I'll think about that. But
Nomar Garcia Parra.
something like that. But he
That's all I
deserves some money there. I hope that he sticks around with the Blue Jays because I think they're a good team.
See a picture.
Could be.
You never know. And here we go, Chad. Now that I know you're a Cubs fan, I'll talk a little Cubs with you. This apparently is the Cubs' year, according to Vegas. They're 4-1 favorite to win the World Series, and with their young team, it's no surprise.
So young.
Although they haven't won a World Series in 108 years, no big deal.
No, I haven't either.
And if only
About damn time.
Here's the crazy stat: we all know they have the Billy Goat jinx, and but they haven't won a postseason game consecutively. Or no, I'm sorry, they haven't appeared in the postseason consecutively since then. They've only done it once, and it was the year before they won their last World Series. I think the MLB is the only sport where you don't want to go into the preseason as a favorite. The season is just so long and unpredictable. You almost want to leave the spring training unnoticed and untouched by the media. Go into the long season, maybe about, I don't know, August. You can burst into the scene and have a hot team going into October. That's always best. But,
That's how the Royals did it a couple years ago, if I recall.
yeah, you're right. That is true. They were a young team. They were kind of the bad boys of baseball. You know, they had an attitude about them, and they came in and look what they did last year. They were unstoppable. But as for the Cubs, they have a great young team, and they already have enough pressure with the curse of the Billy Goat and the expectations of this young roster. And after sweeping the New York Mets in the NLCS, or after being swept by the Mets in the NLCS, they were very aggressive in the offseason. They pretty much robbed Missouri. They picked up 2 divisional All-Stars with Jason Hayward for 18 years, $148 million, and right-hand pitcher from the Cardinals, John Lackey, for a 2-year, $32 million contract. Now, they can have John Lackey. He's old. He's gonna, if he can make it 2 years, he deserves his $32 million contract. But as for Jason Hayward, they really stole that from the Cardinals. I thought that was a huge pickup by the Cardinals a couple years ago, and he did great things for them. His WAR, which is wins above replacement, which means wins above replacement is an attempt to summarize a player's total contribution to a team. Last season, Jason Hayward's WAR was 6.5.
What is it good for?
Say
Say it again.
Anyway, they also signed one World Series champion of Matt's Kansas City Royals Ben Zobrist to a 4-year, $56 million contract. Zobrist and Hayward are rumored to lead off the Cubbies next season at 1 and 2 respectively. Great offseason for the Cubs. They have a lot of high expectations and big shoes to fill after last season. And speaking of a couple future Hall of Famers, in my opinion, Jason Hayward. I hate to bring this up because it's a strong discussion in the MLB world. But Bonds,
I'm ready.
Yeah, I know you are. Barry Bonds was hired as the Miami Marlins hitting coach in December, and he was recorded. I guess they got this on film of him saying that he is a Hall of Fame player, and God knows that he is a Hall of Fame player. Those are strong words coming from a guy that used steroids.
From a strong man.
From a very strong man.
And was he out there coaching? You stand there.
Here's how you shoot
take
up.
some
Hold
steroids,
it up
and
here.
then you swing hard.
Tie that off. Yeah.
No, I'm glad you said that because the Baseball Writers Association votes for the Hall of Fame, not God. Sorry, but
You don't know that, hey. You don't know that.
But it has been known that these writers they're bridging in the new writers, and they were born and raised in the steroid era, as we like to call it. And a lot of these younger writers are a little more forgiving of the steroids. They know that a lot of these guys, and I don't agree with this, but a lot of these guys used it for recovery after an injury, not to boost their performance. Which, take it as you will, whatever. I know that those, HGH and stuff like that is to help. It can be used to help recover if administered by a doctor that has credibility and is giving them dosage or whatever. These younger riders are really more informed about these PEDs, and I really do think that Barry Bonds deserves a spot in the Hall of Fame. The Hall of Fame is a museum. It is it's telling the story of baseball, and this happened. I mean, there's no doubt about this. This happened. Barry Bonds took steroids, allegedly. Roger Clemens took steroids. Sammy Sosa took steroids. Those guys
Pete Rose gambled.
Pete Rose, that's a different discussion for another time. I didn't include that on this because I have a strong opinion on that too. But these guys took steroids and they changed the game. Obviously in a bad way, but who knows what these guys would have done without the steroids. They could have still broken the record books. I think that these guys need an asterisk next to their name in the Hall of Fame and on the Hall of Fame ballot. Barry Bonds had 44% of the baseball writers' votes, 31% short of being inducted. This was his 4th year of eligibility and his highest vote percentage in 4 years. The Hall of Fame reduced the number of years a player can retain a ballot position from 15 to 10 years, meaning eligibility for a lot of these players that were in this era have been lost. Mark McGwire is no longer eligible on this ballot to be in the Hall of Fame. They have
That's
to send
so
it.
dumb.
They have to send it to the elders vote. So the older riders, which aren't going to put him in because they're the guys that don't want him in the first place.
Right.
Because they watched
a bunch of aliens.
Yeah, it sounds,
I guess.
Living for 400 years.
Sounds like a Star Wars council or something.
Here's my question, and before you answer, I'll give you some stats. How close are we into letting these steroid era guys into the MLB Hall of Fame?
I don't think we're
Before you answer, I mentioned the war. It was the wins above replacement. Barry Bonds is the only player with a WAR above 80 who is not in the Hall of Fame. Here are some people that surround him in their career. Babe Ruth, 161.1%. Willie Mays, 156.2%. Ty Cobb, 151. Hank Aaron, 142. Stan the Man Musial from the Cardinals, 128.1. And Ted Williams, 123.1. Barry Bonds' WAR over his career was 162. He is the only player not in the MLB with a WAR above 80. Come on, that's huge. I did not get the guys Roger Clemens or Sammy Sosa their career WAR, but that's crazy. I think he deserves a spot. No matter what he did, he just needs an asterisk next to his name.
I don't think we're any closer today to letting those folks in the Hall of Fame than we were when this whole steroid era began. I don't think we're going to get close to it. I don't think that people are going to be okay with it at any point.
As long as these older riders are in there, they're not getting in, and he's got 6 years to get in.
What do you think, guys in our generation going to take over those positions? Be like, yeah, cool, let him in.
That's what's happening. As I said, he's got a 44% from the riders. He's 31% away. There have been they have talked to writers that are new in their first years, and they put Roger Clemens, Sammy Sosa, and Barry Bonds and Mark McGwire on these lists and voted for them.
They should be. They should. Barry Bonds is a Hall of Famer.
Yeah, easy.
Roger Clemens is one of the greatest pitchers to ever pitch a ball.
They're Hall of Famers.
Mark McGwire was one of my favorite baseball players growing up.
Yeah.
He was a stud.
Yeah, what I hate about it is these are just the guys that got caught.
Yeah.
Oh,
How many other players take steroids and get caught
Tell me
and
about
get
that.
Hall of Famers?
And in all sports, we can tie this into
Yeah.
all sports. It doesn't matter. These, like I said, the MLB Hall of Fame, the NFL Hall of Fame, the NBA Hall of Fame. It's a museum. It's telling the story of the sport.
Mhm.
Put them in. Put an asterisk next to their name so we know what happened. Tell their story.
Make that a separate exhibit if you want. You know, whatever.
And people will argue,
Steroids.
they need to be taken out of the record book. That's crazy. Just
They're part of the history.
all
And you
these
can't take away from it.
all
Everyone
these
watched
sports change. They all have an evolution, and that was part of the evolution of baseball. Put it in. Put them in.
Hall of Fame or not, those guys will always be talked about.
Oh, absolutely.
Guaranteed.
They're going to be remembered for years and years to come. And our kids, their kids, everything. They're going to be talking about these guys forever. Just like we talk about Babe Ruth every year. So, that's all I got for baseball.
Cool.
Good stuff.
Soccer news. We're gonna.
Soccer news. I forgot about
We're
that.
going to stay here for a long time.
We got 10 good seconds of soccer here. And that'll be it.
FIFA just elected a new president.
Gianni Infantino won the FIFA election during the second ballot of voting after the first round stopped with no candidate that required 123 votes. Infantino received 88 votes on the first ballot. He then received 115 votes on the second ballot, getting some help from the third place spot. You know, all their voters voted for him the second time around. He only needed 104 votes to win. He received 115 votes on the second ballot. I think I said that just now. Infantino holds both Swiss and Italian citizenship and has been the General Secretary of the UEFA, don't ask me what that means, government body of Europe soccer since 2009. Giovanni will finish Stepp Blatter's reign, which ends in 2019.
Cool. We've already lingered on soccer too long.
Yep.
On to college basketball. This was the last couple days really crazy for the Big Ten, especially thanks to Purdue and Ohio State, which I could say collectively, we never root for. I found myself rooting for both Purdue and Ohio State in the last couple days to secure that Big Ten championship for IU.
Yep.
Who's yours? No, you can't do it.
Who?
We blew it.
Who?
Chad, what do you got on college basketball for us?
Yeah, like you said, IU is guaranteed at least a share of the Big Ten title. It's their 22nd,
Boom.
which puts them in a tie with who?
Purdue.
Purdue. For the
More
most.
like Purdue. Sorry.
Whoa.
Which that kind of surprised me a little bit, but yeah, that's huge for them. I mean, they've had a great season. I think they're only getting even better. I think a really scary tournament team, man. The way they can shoot, Yogi with the ball, that can penetrate and dish out, man. Those young guys in there, they're going to be tough to beat in the tournament. I think they're going to go really far.
Yeah, I don't think they're getting quite the credit that they deserve. With teams like Michigan State, people are still pretty high on Iowa, even though they just lost. That's what they're talking about in terms of going the distance in the tournament for sure. I think people are sleeping on IU. I really do.
And I think one reason is because the tournament's known for coaches. That's when coaches can really shine and you can get out coached in close games in the tournament. And is Tom Crean going to be able to do that with his team? I don't think he's done it yet.
I'm ready to see it for sure.
Yeah, that's going to be, I think, the biggest question. Is he going to get out coached at all? Are these young players ready? Can they go that far? Because they do have a lot of young players. But I think that they have a real chance to maybe even Final Four with the way they can shoot and how hot they are.
Yeah, I think I said this on a previous show. Once they light up behind the arc, they're tough to shut down because they move the ball so well.
Good for them.
You know.
Yeah, they'll turn the lights off.
And this
then
is
back on. Hey,
This is a legit question because, as you may have realized in episode 6, I don't really follow college basketball that much. I get too into the MLB. Is the defense in the Big Ten, are they strong enough? When IU plays a team that's not in the Big Ten, will they be able to shoot threes against these guys?
yeah, I mean The Big Ten is. I mean, I would always say they're known for their defense.
Fundamental basketball in general.
Yeah, it's a tough conference. That's what they've always been known for. It's hard nosed basketball, like
Sure.
'90s basketball. You know
Okay.
what I mean, they're tough. And that's another question about them is their non-conference schedule. Is a little. Some people, and that's why they haven't been ranked super high. They've been above Michigan State. Michigan State in the Big Ten. Michigan State's always been ranked above them. But you go down the list in the Big Ten, and I mean they're all tough. I mean even Ohio State, who we were talking about with Luke tonight, they're getting hot. They're getting real hot, and they started off pretty bad, and IU put a whooping on them. But they're starting to get hot. Iowa's been good. They've lost a couple games, kind of lost their spot. I didn't have them as a number 1 seed in the tournament, but they've just lost too many games now to get that number 1 seed. But they're a really good team. Maryland, really good team. It's tough to win. It's just like in the Big 12, you go on the road in conference in that conference, and it is so hard to win.
Yeah.
It really is. You're getting every team's in conference play. You're getting every team's best shot at you.
For
Yeah,
sure.
absolutely. And that's who those guys spend most of their time looking at throughout the season. They know that's who they're going to have to play their best games against in order to have a shot at the title. So
Speaking
that's
of
what
Big
their
12,
focus is.
Uh-oh.
You want to talk about it? That's a sweet sweater, by the way.
Thank you. It's a little small.
Is that Tobes?
But no, it's not Tubbs. Well, Tubbs has.
I don't know.
Because I bought it for him. Kansas Jayhawks have also been guaranteed at least a piece of the Big 12
Big 12 in a row.
championship. 12 in a row. I just think that, which is one away from the record. I can't remember exactly who it is, but I just think that is a very underrated stat going around now. I don't know why it's not
Really,
talked about
impressive.
more.
Super impressive. Hats off to you guys. I mean, that's nuts.
And then I do have my top 4 for the number 1 seeds going in. They have changed from this weekend. I think that Kansas is going to get the number 1 overall. And I think well deserving. I think they're the best team, and arguably, unless you want to say the Big Ten, the best conference. I think you could go either way, Big Ten, Big 12. I think they're going to get the number 1 seed, and I think they deserve it. Non-biased. Number 2, and these are in no particular order after this.
Just got to get that
Non-biased.
Kansas in there.
Yeah.
Well, first and foremost,
Well,
Kansas.
I think they're automatically going to get the number 1 now.
You think they're the best team in the country?
I think that they are well deserving of the number 1 overall seed in the tournament.
Good answer. That's a good answer.
It's when you have a team and you watch them. Anybody can say this with any other teams. If they play their best, they can beat anyone.
Yeah.
But are they always going to play their best? No. And they could. I mean, I think they could definitely win it all. I really do. I think they have a good shot to win it all. Then I have who just beat North Carolina, and who I did have in this spot, but I now have Virginia. Very tough. It's that conference really tough too. I'm gonna have a bunch of tournament teams.
For sure.
But yeah, they beat North Carolina, who I had there, so I think you have to move Virginia up there now.
Sure.
Then another Big 12 team. I still think Oklahoma is going to get a number 1 seed, even though they've been slipping a little bit lately, haven't played quite as well. They're just a tough team.
Yeah.
Anyone that watches them knows they are a good team. And then my 4th one is going to be up in the air, but I have Villanova, which Xavier beat
Xavier lost
Villanova.
today.
And then people thought maybe that would put them above Nova for number 1 seed, but they lost to Seton Hall today.
Whoa.
Unranked. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
They were fifth. They were 5th overall in Seton Hall. Unranked.
yes,
So.
mhm.
Yeah.
And here's the thing: and
Who was number 1 at the time when that happened?
who was number
Was
1?
it Kansas?
Earlier today.
Kansas is going to be number 1, but it hasn't switched yet.
Who was there?
So
now?
it was who lost? I can't remember.
Okay. Just wondering. I'll look it
Whoever it was lost.
Google.
up.
But anyway, Villanova and Xavier in this in that conference, man, it's not a good conference anymore. All the good teams have left for the most part. They brought up a lot of, I might call mid-major schools, and Xavier has only beaten one team in the top 25, and that was Villanova this past week. So, I mean, I'm just not. I mean, you can go off, you know, they lose 2 games or whatever, why Villanova always is a high seed. But I think, and go ahead, give Villanova number 1 seed. They are pretty good, but
They have it now.
that record, I mean, in that conference, I mean, okay, cool, but
Yeah.
go to the Big 10 and try that. Go
Yeah.
to the Big 12 and try that. It
Not
ain't gonna
happening.
happen.
Do you think they've been exposed a little bit? Do you think for them it's Villanova, as you said last week?
Damn.
Sick, right?
Stiff.
Good tag in there.
I mean, I took it from you, so.
It's hard to say. I do think they're better than some of their other hype teams this year. They're pretty tough. But I don't know, man. When you don't play competition, it's just like the Carson Wentz thing. When you don't play competition, it's hard to know until it happens.
Yep.
But it's just like some of the mid-major schools, small schools, they can come and they can beat, you know, top-tier teams. It happens, so you never know.
Now, you mentioned something earlier in regards to a wager of some sort.
Yes. I have here my 2 teams that I think if you're going to put some money on in the tournament, and I'm not saying they're going to win it all, I'm not saying they're going to go to the Final Four, but maybe some Sweet 16 Cinderella stories. And I have 2 of them here. One, everyone's going to know very well, Monmouth.
Yeah.
And it's not because of their bench and dancing.
The hell it isn't.
I mean, I think that's part of it. But they're in the MAC. They beat UCLA, USC, Georgetown, and Notre Dame this year.
Ugh.
That's some pretty good wins on their resume. They've been known, and that's why you've seen all that dancing, because they've been known as the Giant Killers this year. And they have a good shot. They're a really good team, good coach.
I like that pick.
And then my second one is St. Mary's, and that's who I would put my money on.
Okay.
West Coast Conference, and this is crazy. Gonzaga always is a super high seed, really good team. They might not even get in this year.
I was about to ask you that. How they sitting?
And St. Mary's is part to blame. St. Mary's swept them in the conference this year. They're very high scoring team, and they're very efficient offense. Like I think like 5 players or 6 players average over 9 points a game.
Wow.
Which is pretty impressive. They're going to be giant slayers too in the tournament. I would not want to play them at all.
Cool.
They're pretty tough.
I know we talked about this last week, but I'll ask again. I may ask this every week until the tournament. Is this the year that a 16 seed takes down a 1 seed?
I think it depends on which number 1 seed that is.
Villanova.
We got options.
Villanova.
I know that.
Yeah.
If I was going to put money on any of these teams, I mean, I think Kansas, Virginia, even if, you know, North Carolina, if they end up making it, Oklahoma, I just think they're too good to lose to them. Good coaches. I just don't think it's going to happen. But Nova, Xavier, one of those teams, I think they could definitely lose to a 16 seed.
All right.
And I'm not going to say they're going to, I mean, or they should, but
But if either one of them were
Possibility.
to be a number 1, that would be the number 1 seed to do it.
yeah, that would be the one I'd put my money
Yeah.
on. One
Alright.
of those.
I'll ask you next week.
Excellent.
Go for it. These might even change next week.
Exactly,
You never know.
that's
How this
exactly-
year's going, it's crazy.
Exactly why I asked.
Speaking of crazy years, I think that we've all been itching to talk about Steph Curry. That dude is just lights out. He hit a
He is
32-footer at the buzzer. Well, not quite at the buzzer. There was 0.6 of a second left on the clock.
Was that
not
quite the buzz?
No, it didn't buzz.
Okay.
Well, that's how I,
I
got
didn't
the
hear the buzz.
I didn't hear no buzz.
I've had a buzz all day.
Buzz.
Caffeine.
Buzz Light.
Yeah. So it's a 32-footer, like he gets paid to, because at this point I think he does. He's too good. He's automatic. LeBron James is tweeting about it. He told him to stop.
I
A
did
bunch
see
of
that.
people were tweeting about it.
Yeah.
Magic Johnson said, if that shot doesn't put an exclamation point at the end of Steph Curry's the best shooter we've ever seen, I don't know what will.
Oscar Robertson's the only guy that's complaining.
That's interesting.
Have you read any about that?
Yeah, he said that he doesn't think Steph Curry could survive back in his time of basketball, which I think is silly.
I mean, I can agree to an extent that the perimeter defense is soft these days.
Okay.
That's about all I'll give Oscar on that argument. That's
Well,
about it.
I don't see. I mean, it's not like he's a guy that's a physical guy. Like needs to be physical. That's not his game. His style as he gets away from you. He's great coming off screens. He's great creating space, and he don't need a lot of
doesn't need
space.
His release is
Yeah, he needs
lightning.
space.
The biggest thing
So-
about him playing back then is how are they going to catch him? How are they going to catch him to put a hip on it, to put a hand on a hip, to slow him down?
We think he's too fast to play those guys back then?
I think he's just fast enough. He could keep up with him, is what I'm saying.
Oh.
He could have. They played strong defense, but they got to catch him. They got to catch him. He's the best at spot up shooting.
I could see maybe defense
shooting off the
is
dribble.
where he would be a liability. And I'm not saying he's a bad defender, but maybe in the 90s he might be a liability going up against some of those point guards
Yeah.
who were as physical as they were. But
Steve Nash.
when it comes to, yeah,
Good
most
luck.
physical, hot there. But I
Break his
just,
nose.
I don't see it, man. I have a question. Is Steph Curry the best player ever?
Uh-oh. Are you going to say he's better than Michael Jordan?
Is he the best player ever?
Do you think he's better than Michael Jordan?
I've never seen a player
Do you
like
think
him
he's better
in
than
my
Michael
entire
Jordan?
life.
Do you think he's better than Michael Jordan?
I don't think you can say it
Do you
yet.
think he's better
no.
than Michael
I don't
Jordan?
think you can say that yet. No, but is he second best?
He's not Michael Jordan though. He's different. He's just he does. It's just different. I don't know. We're never gonna have another Michael. I don't care. It's not LeBron. It wasn't Kobe. We're never gonna have another Michael. Steph is gonna be Steph. He's gonna be his own. He's gonna be himself.
I will say this. If I'm picking a team, and I need this team to go win a championship this year, and I have two players to pick from, Steph Curry or Larry Bird, I'm picking Steph Curry. He scores more points. That's what you need.
If you were gonna start a franchise with one player,
Steve Nash. I'm sorry, what?
he's not an option.
Oh, sorry.
If you're gonna start, if playing in this NBA, the NBA that we play now, not the throwback NBA where your elbows and everything, big, all that shit. Would you rather start a franchise with Larry, LeBron, Kobe, Steph, or Magic?
One more time.
Larry Bird, LeBron James, Kobe Bryant, Steph Curry, or Magic Johnson?
All in their absolute primes.
In their primes, sure, yeah.
It would be between. I don't know.
Just your personal.
It's so hard to not pick Larry because I love Larry so much.
Yeah.
I know that's what. Yeah.
But
That's why he's on the list.
I don't know. I might pick Larry, but
Playing in this NBA.
But if I'm not picking Larry, it's I don't know. I love LeBron in his prime was unstoppable. I mean, he's still in his prime, I guess.
Sure.
But
Yeah.
I mean,
We know
he's,
he's
he's
take it back
unstoppable.
four
Take it back
years ago.
7.
He'd go the
6,
hole
7
whenever
years
he-
ago.
Oof, yeah.
He'd go the hole whenever he wanted, and you're either gonna foul him and he's gonna make it, or he's gonna make it.
I'd like to see Larry in today's NBA.
Yeah. What do you think? What's your answer?
In today's NBA,
Let me give you the names again.
You know
But
what
I might take Steph though.
This is and it's tough. This is gonna sound like the exact opposite of what I just said, but in today's NBA, I might take Larry
I still want Magic.
because of soft perimeter defense, and he was a good defender.
Yeah, I just with Magic it would I think depend who.
You taking
Was-
Magic over Steph?
I would
Defense, offense,
not that like
run the court.
not that Magic would need a great supporting cast to win. Like not that he's not a
that's
great
just-
player by
that's
himself.
just the starter. That's
Yeah.
just the starting block, the
Yeah.
foundation of your team. There's
But
4 more on
my team would be completely different from if I took Magic Johnson to if I took say Steph Curry.
That's
Yeah.
fine.
It'd be
yeah.
completely
You're gonna
different.
build
You know
them
what I mean?
But that's
Yeah.
that's the point of the question. You got to make the decision.
Yeah.
I know we talked about this last week, and we did write these down. I hope you have them somewhere. What is your starting 5 if you're starting NBA history? Just no active players. Well, we'll get to the list of 100 ESPN's 100 NBA greatest of all time. But this is a question that is my rules. No active players. Who's your 5? But position and everything.
You first.
Me first? Oh, gladly.
Oh, you said no active players?
No active players.
Chad's got 4.
Chad's got 4 active players. Let's see here. I got
This coffee is cold.
Oh.
That's what she said.
Ooh.
I don't know what that means.
At point guard, I'm having Magic. Shooting guard, I got Reggie Miller. Small forward, a Larry. Power forward, I had Tim Duncan because I had, and I will talk about this on the NBA on the ESPN's 100. Just to follow my rules, I have Karl Malone on the at the power
Not
forward,
an awful pick.
and then Shaq at center.
Cool.
That's my 5.
We're going down the
I'm
line
going
here.
with a bigger team. Sure,
That's a strong team. I think this might be the best team ever.
It would be great to watch him play.
This
Your
would be
list would be great.
This would
to
be
watch
super
play.
fun to watch.
Especially if we were to say this NFL or this NBA. That team would be great
This would
to
be
watch.
so fun. Steve Nash. I didn't even have to say that. Allen Iverson, Larry Bird, Dennis Rodman. No,
I like that.
We got to quit overlooking him.
Yeah.
And Shaquille O'Neal. Dennis Rodman would foul out every game in this NBA.
Is that your 1 through
Steve-
5 in position 2? Point guard and Steve.
I don't know.
Which one?
This is who I think these guys. This would be a great team.
Absolutely.
Oh, that don't make sense.
What?
That don't make sense. That's position. They're right positions.
No, he's
That's
asking.
the
This is
question?
like, do I think this
Would
is
he
the
be in the one spot, like point guard, and then shooting guard?
AI is a
Oh,
shooting.
yeah.
AI is a shooting.
Yeah, that's how I did it.
Okay, I didn't.
Yeah.
I was asking. I didn't, you just have numbers.
If you
Yeah,
go-
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Okay.
Yeah, if you go back, AI always had point guard. JT Snow, is that his name? JT.
Eric Snow.
Eric Snow. He was his
Snow.
point guard for years.
Love Eric Snow.
Yeah,
Ball
he's,
bastard.
AI's a natural shooting guard.
Chad, what you got?
Well, I just changed my point guard from Steph Curry to the Jason Kidd.
There you go.
I love Kidd. I love point guards that can pass, and I think he's the best passing point guard ever.
But is he white? No one knows.
Nobody really knows. He's clear. Larry's clear.
Larry's clear.
Number 2, Allen Iverson. Number 3, who is, in my opinion, the second best shooting guard of all time, behind Michael. Number 3, I'm going with Larry. I would take Larry over LeBron, I think. It would be really tough, though. I would stare at it for a long time. I'm taking Larry. Number 4, this person is pretty much out of the league with me. Tim Duncan.
That's what my.
If you want me to change it, I would also pick Karl Malone.
Okay.
But Tim Duncan's the best power forward of all time.
I agree. My thing with Tim Duncan is the only thing with Tim Duncan is that he's literally he's in the league still.
Yeah.
I mean, but he's the greatest of all time.
Yeah.
He plays in both eras of basketball. She's so fucking good.
And then
It's the second curse word I've said. This is good. Let me watch them now.
You're being bad.
I'm being a bad
and
boy.
then number in the center spot, Shaquille.
Unanimously.
all
Yeah.
of us.
I would.
How could you not?
Shaq might be my. If I'm
So-
building a team, I might pick Shaq all day.
Build
every
around
day.
him.
Okay.
Yeah, I might do that.
I didn't include
just-
that. I should have. We all have Larry and Shaq on our list. No question there. That's. I think that's
Pretty
a
strong.
lot of people would
Nice
say
work.
that. Good job. Yay. Oh, that's embarrassing.
That's cold.
So you guys want to get into
Don't
the
fucking
top
touch me.
100 list, or you got more Back to the Future talk to talk about?
I kind of want to bring up the Pacers a little bit. Lost to the Hornets the other night. This is the second time they lost to them this month.
They lost to the Blazers tonight.
Did they lose?
Yeah.
I figured they would.
They,
111,
but
109.
I tell you what, though, they've been in a lot of close battles here lately. I
Sure.
think they're becoming battle tested. I think they're all kind of playing together. I still think they could beat any team in the East in a 7-game series.
Thank you.
Besides Cleveland.
Thank you.
Besides Cleveland.
Oh, except Cleveland.
But I think they could beat Cleveland if Cleveland does not play their best basketball.
Has Cleveland?
Okay,
I'm glad
thank
you
you.
said that. Do you think that Cleveland and LeBron have pushed into gear for the playoffs because they're playing really good? Kevin Love and LeBron James are at some of their best. They both finished with OKC a couple days ago with a double doubles in a 115-92 victory over OKC. Have the LeBrons gotten a wake up? Or the LeBrons?
Yeah, it is.
Might as well be.
Yeah.
The Cavs. Have the Cavs.
That's a Freudian
Didn't even
slip
mean
I've
to
heard
call
on.
him that.
That's-
That's
yeah.
funny.
Have the Cavs, pushed it into gear? Have they gotten a wake up call and said, "Hey, we got to wake up and we got to beat the Warriors"?
I mean, that's what the league's all about right now. beating the Warriors. That's the
That's
team
true.
to beat. They've got a big target on their back. Everyone, I think, right now, especially the Cavs, who, by the numbers, everybody's assuming that's what the championship's going to look like.
Sure.
So yeah, I think that's where they're at.
And I don't like that we're already making that decision because the Pacers are great. This is a sad that I'm asking this, but Toronto, are they
Yeah,
in the East?
Toronto's a good
Okay.
team.
Yeah, and they're good.
Oh, in the East, yeah.
If you look
Are
at
they?
the
Yeah,
East,
yeah, okay.
if you look at the East, I mean, the Raptors are pretty good, but after that, the records are just
It drops.
terrible.
It drops
Yeah.
bad.
I mean, they're terrible.
Well, with the way that
for us.
the playoffs are set up, it almost, are you really getting the best team out of the East with the records?
Was it like 13-game drop-off or something?
It's pretty bad. I don't remember exactly what it is, but me and you were looking at it, and it is not good. The
Yeah.
Celtics, I'm pretty sure, are the 3 seed right now.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. Like, what's up with that? I know they're not. They're.
I mean,
they're not better than the
they've
Pacers,
played
right?
decent basketball. I don't
By the record?
By the
Yeah.
record, yeah.
Okay,
But the
that's what I'm
records
asking, though. The
I
record
don't think
doesn't.
they're better.
after Toronto, all the records are pretty close.
Just-
See, I don't take much seriously, except for the Sixers, before the All-Star break.
Yeah.
I don't take much of that seriously, and that's what those records are right now.
Okay.
It's what happened before the All-Star break.
Okay.
So, I'd like
I'm
for us to-
legitimately asking. I'm not very good with the NBA, but I know that the East is weak, and I know that the West is way better.
Yeah, this is go time now, and I think, like you said, the Pacers are now being tested, and even in some of those close losses, I think that they're passing the test.
Yeah, I think it's only going to make them better. And they have played really well, especially Miles Turner.
Oh,
Played
he's
really
just-
well in the end of
he's-
some of
he's
these
great.
close games. I know they've lost a couple here recently, but they've
Mon-
also shown that they can win close games like that.
Well, they're losing against good teams, though,
Mhm.
so that's even better.
I went to the Knicks game, Pacers-Knicks, Wednesday night, I think.
Yeah.
And it was great to see Paul George. It wasn't great to see Paul in a slump, but early in the game, dude couldn't hit the broadside of the barn, and Monte Ellis was killing it, dude.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I mean, he was
That's-
so it's good to see when a guy like Paul isn't quite living up to his name. We'll call it.
Somebody else can come in.
Monte Ellis is the guy that comes in and picks up the slack, and they don't miss a beat.
Yeah, and you need that. I think you have to have that, especially in the playoffs. Somebody's not playing well, you can't get too far behind, especially a team like Cleveland.
Sure.
But I have not been too big a fan of. I know Monte Ellis is known for making big shots at the end of the game. He's done it his whole career. He did a ton in Dallas. He did it in Milwaukee. He's known for that, and I get that, right? But this is Paul George's team. Paul George is the best player on the team. I want him having the ball in his hands at the end of the game.
Yeah.
I was just thinking that when you were talking about Paul George. I think that the Pacers, and this is good and bad, so I'm going to be on the fence as much as I can be about this statement. I think that the Pacers are good when they don't have a franchise guy being selfish in a way. Because we all know that it's Paul George's team. Anybody that lives in Indiana knows that. But it's good to have that close second guy that can take the shot too,
Mhm.
because he has off nights. He's young. He's in that first tier NBA player, but he's not as high on the list as I think some of the guys are. And I think it's good that the Pacers have a 1-2 punch right there with them.
Mhm.
And one of the cooler things for me to see, obviously, we talked about Miles Turner. We talk about him every time we talk about the Pacers. He matched up with Porzingis really well.
Really?
Yeah,
that's good. That kid's
really
a stud.
well.
That's a good stud too.
Yeah, and of course the two of them go back a little bit. I don't know if you know that. Porzingis and Miles Turner. He was talking about it in an after-game interview. So that's going to be. Those guys are both real young. It's going to be super cool to watch the way their teams
And I,
build around them in the future.
yeah, and I think the Knicks are eventually going to get over the hump and going to be pretty tough in the Eastern Conference in the next few years, and that's going to be cool to watch because those are going to be two, I think, landmark players going forward.
Sure.
And it's a different kind of big man in the NBA now.
Yeah,
You're
skilled.
getting, exactly. Yeah,
Skilled in a different way.
You're not getting your 400-pound Shaqs anymore. You know, not your big Jack Dwight Howards.
Yeah.
It's a guy who can create space, who can shoot a perimeter shot,
Also athletic.
and also athletic. Yeah.
Yeah.
Porzingis, he's crazy to
I
watch.
like him a
That
lot,
dude.
man. He's cool. He's fun to watch.
I mean, he's got finesse for a big man.
Yeah.
Do you think those athletic big men in the East is what could inevitably, or not inevitably, but what could eventually take down the West?
See, that's always
to
that's
overpower, or are they too quick? The
that's
West.
I don't know. That's a tough discussion for me to get into because is one better than the other? I don't know. It's how you use them.
Sure.
So
No, absolutely.
I think that can only be determined on a game by game basis. I don't know that one strategy is better than the other.
Well, and the East is definitely a lot younger.
Yeah.
And they're always getting the lottery picks because we're terrible. The Eastern Conference is terrible, so I mean it's gonna get better and better and better. You know, it's just like how you see a terrible team all of a sudden get good after they've been terrible forever from getting all these draft picks and stuff. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, you'd run a different offense when you have different players like the whole Blake Griffin Jordan thing. Like Blake has developed a jump
Andre
shot. What I say?
Not Michael Jordan. No,
Oh,
you said
yeah.
Jordan.
Yeah.
That's the first thing I go to.
Yeah, and Jordan's gonna head more to the basket, and which Blake can do too. But Blake has developed a jump shot. And I think that can change your your whole offense. Is you can have a big man that can shoot a jump shot.
Yeah.
And DeAndre's just better, so it is what it is.
So
Speaking of that,
Go ahead.
what about that all-time list?
yeah, I like that. We all got a copy of this list.
Folks, that's
So-
all the
DeAndre-
time we've got.
Is DeAndre Jordan on this list? I can't
Yeah,
remember.
this may have to be a two-part episode now. We're just getting into this because this is interesting. ESPN recently put out their top 100 NBA players of all time, and we all know what I hate is active players on an all-time list. Well, they got a mouthful of them on here. I'll run down the top 10, and then we can start jumping into active players and players that should be higher. We got Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Hakeem Olajuwon at 10, Shaquille O'Neal at 9, Tim Duncan at 8, Bill Russell at 7, Larry Bird at 6, 5 we got Wilt Chamberlain, 4 Magic Johnson, 3 LeBron James, I'll save it, 2 Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and number 1 MJ, as expected. Now, number 8 is Tim Duncan. I think he deserves that spot. He's one of the only players on this list that's an active player that deserves that. We talked about that earlier. LeBron James at 3. It's not that I don't like LeBron. I think he's a student of the game. He's an historian of the game. He is a great player. But if he quit today and stopped playing basketball, is he better than Magic Johnson? Is he better than Wilt Chamberlain? Is he better than Larry Bird? Is he better than Shaquille O'Neal?
You know where Wilt Chamberlain went to college?
Where's that?
Rock Chalk.
Whoa.
It's Jayhawk. I tried to buy his jersey one time, a really old Kansas jersey.
Yeah.
I didn't.
You just see it and try to sell
I
it.
did.
That'd be cool to have.
Speaking of LeBron, something I find interesting. Number 12 is Kobe.
Yeah, I
A
know.
lot of people think Kobe's better than LeBron.
Kobe's retiring.
People be real mad about that.
Kobe's retiring. We all know that. He's having his farewell tour. He can be on this list. But LeBron at 3? That just leaves a bad taste in my mouth.
I don't think you can put him there yet.
You can't put him there yet. I don't think he deserves to be in the top 10.
I think it's still undetermined.
No current player, except for maybe Tim Duncan, deserves to be in the top 10.
Yeah. I'll tell you.
You trying to tell me that they're putting Kevin Durant over Pat Ewing?
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm passionate.
I'll tell you the most ridiculous thing about this list is it ruins this whole list for me. Allen Iverson is the 46th ranked player of all time. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, they have Chris Paul at 29.
Let me run down quickly
Stupid.
some of this list so everyone knows where we're going, and then we can discuss. They got Oscar Robertson at 11, 12, Kobe, Jerry West at 13, Julius Erving at 14, Moses Malone at 15, Karl Malone at 16, Dirk at 17, Barkley at 18, John Stockton at 19, David Robinson at 20, and then we get into some more. We go for a long streak of current players. Kevin Garnett, Kevin Durant at 21 and 22 respectively. Steph Curry 23. Interesting. We talked about him being maybe the best player. If I was to put active players on the list, I guess I'd put him on there, but I'd put him higher than some of these guys. Scottie Pippen at 25. I'm skipping some of these players just because some of them, we don't care about. Isaiah Thomas at 26 deserves to be in the top 10, in my opinion. Dwayne Wade at 27, Chris Paul at 29, Steve Nash 30, needs to be higher. Kevin McHale at 31, Patrick Ewing at 32. 35, we got Jason Kidd, Clyde Drexler 36, Walt Frazier 38. 41, Gary Payton. 42, Bill Walton. 44, Dominique Wilkins. I think he deserves higher. 45, Paul Pierce. 46, as you said, Allen Iverson.
It's ridiculous. You're telling me.
Russell Westbrook at 49. Ray Allen at 50 should be higher. Reggie Miller 51 should be higher just based off of the active players in. 64, Dennis Rodman. 69, Vince Carter. Pete Maravich at 71. Dikembe Mutombo at 73. Blake
DeAndre
Griffin
Jordan
is on the list at 75.
I noticed that you left 74 out. It goes from 73 to 75. Is DeAndre Jordan 74? Good answer. He is. Moving on.
80 is Grant Hill.
My
83 is Chris Mullins. And topping off the list, and I know I skipped a lot, but there are a lot of the guys there we're not going to talk about. Sean Kemp is at 100.
Here's the most infuriating thing to me, and let's not get it twisted. I like this guy a lot. Love watching him play. Russell Westbrook, they're calling him already the 49th best player of all time. You mean to tell me
Ray Allen?
You mean to tell me he's better than Ray Allen, Reggie Miller, Vince Carter, Pete Maravich, Dikembe Mutombo? Obviously, he's better than Blake Griffin. Chris
Hill.
Mullins and Sean Kemp. You think he's better than those guys? No way.
No way.
I mean, he's really good, and I like watching him play. But you're going to tell me you're putting him over Ray Allen and Reggie Miller?
That's nuts.
Must be outside your damn mind.
You're telling me this is ridiculous. Kevin Durant is 20 players higher than Allen Iverson.
Yeah.
You're really gonna look me in the face and say that?
Yeah. I don't
want to talk about this anymore.
I almost don't. I'll take a picture of this and post it on Twitter. You guys can have your arguments too. Comment on YouTube, please. Tweet us. LeBron James is too high, number 3 already. Tim Duncan deserves 8. I think.
So you're putting Isaiah in the top 10.
I'm putting Isaiah in the top 10.
Who do you move?
Who do I
Hakeem
take
then?
out?
Yeah, you move.
I take out Bill Russell.
What?
No, not for him.
Bring Shaq down. Bring
okay,
Bill
moving
Russell
down.
out. Not Bill Russell out. Bill Russell up. Shaq down. Bring in Isaiah Thomas. I think Isaiah Thomas is hated because he was a bad boy.
Hold on a second.
And a lot of people didn't like his attitude.
You can't switch Shaq and Bill Russell because you didn't open up a top 10 spot. You just
Tim Duncan out. As much as I don't
Tim
like
Duncan
it,
out.
as
Okay.
much as I don't like it, he's an active player. It's just by my rules. And LeBron James is out. There's 2 spots in there. I think Isaiah Thomas deserves a spot in there.
Steve Nash,
Scottie Pippen, Jerry freaking West,
Kobe Bryant,
Oscar Robinson.
Allen Iverson is in my top 10, and he's ranked
Yeah.
46 on here.
I just think Oscar Robinson deserves it. Take out LeBron and Tim, Oscar Robinson, easy move up, and possibly Isaiah Thomas. Isaiah Thomas deserves higher than 26. Can we all agree on that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he did.
That's fine with me.
Yeah,
Top 20?
I just think
top 20. Isaiah Thomas.
top 15,
Okay.
top
That's
12.
fine. That's fine.
You know,
That's fine.
I just have a real hard time taking any one of these guys out of the top 10. Tim Duncan's the best power forward of all time.
Absolutely. No, I agree.
So
it's just an
it's-
active player thing. That's my only argument.
And I'm
That's
with
my
you.
only
And
argument.
I'm with you.
You
But
know
for
how I
him,
feel.
I think he's the exception to the active player
Sure.
argument.
LeBron's certainly not.
3,000 blocks.
I would take Kobe
Or
over.
boards.
I would
If
take
he doesn't
Kobe
boards.
over Isaiah.
Again, I take this right now. Kobe's retiring. We know that. If LeBron retired after this year, is he better than Kobe? Is he better than Hakeem? Is he better than Shaq? Is he better than Tim? Is he better than Bill Russell? Wilt Chamberlain and Magic Johnson?
Why are you yelling at me?
Because I'm yelling for the sake of the argument. LeBron James does not deserve 3 right now.
No,
Dear
I'm with you.
Lord, David Robinson
Yeah.
is 20 higher than Allen Iverson.
Can I borrow your list after mine?
Yeah. You
Oh.
throw mine too.
Paul Pierce is higher than Allen Iverson. Bill Walton is
Ah,
higher than Allen Iverson.
Dennis Rodman, number 64. Thank you for writing that in.
No problem.
That's
I love him.
insane.
Put him in a wedding dress and still outplayed Blake Griffin.
Whoa,
Absolutely
nice.
insane.
So that's the list. I think it's rubbish.
Garbage.
Yeah, you need some work, ESPN. You need to start watching our show.
This is
And we'll
stupid.
tell you who's
You're
actually
stupid.
in the top 10 because, well, top 10's not bad, but after that, you're just completely
This is something
wrong.
I would like to see you guys comment on. So far, Ethan Whiteside is the only person that comments on this ever.
Yeah.
God love you, Ethan. I know you're still watching at the bitter end.
What are your
Um,
top 10s?
Yeah, I want to hear your
give
top
us your-
10s.
Give us your top 10s and maybe your starting 5. I think that's a
Starting
fun,
5
that's
all
a
time,
fun
that'd be
op-
cool.
That's a fun conversation to have.
We'll read your starting 5 and shout you out if you comment. your
And here's
starting
my
five.
little sweet little game here we can play. I did the 2 resumes before the
Love
NFL,
games.
and it was
Love games.
sucked. And it just
Yeah.
it wasn't good. But I put 2 resumes together for the NBA.
I thought you said I love games.
So I got 2 players here. I won't give you the names. I'll give you, if you'd like to write these down, go for it. But I'll give you player A and player B.
We have to guess who it is.
You have to guess which resume would you rather have. Both players are still active. Player A, 1,326 games, field goal percentage of 400 or .448. Total points in NBA history 3,268. Some admirations for these guys. Player A, Finals MVP 2, League MVP 1, Championships 5, drafted 13th overall. Player A. Player B, drafted 1st overall, Rookie of the Year, Finals MVP 3 times, League MVP 2 times, Champion 5 times. Player B has 1,371 games, a field goal percentage of .506, and 26,321 points. Who would you rather have,
Okay,
player A or player B?
Can I guess the
Not
players?
until after
Write
you
'em down.
guess. Not until after you guess player A or player B. Which would you rather have?
I had. It sounds like player B based on the resume.
Don't say their name until you tell me who you would pick.
I just
Player B.
You would rather have player B? Okay.
And it was.
Matthew?
I said player B.
Oh, okay, I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
yeah. So I'm sorry. I shouldn't have
So
snapped.
defensive.
I
So you both like player B.
hold on a second. I'm pretty sure I thought I knew who B was until you said field goal percentage.
I'd like to repeat the field goal percentage because that's my favorite stat of all this.
Okay.
Part of the reason I did this.
Uh-huh.
Player A's field goal percentage was .448, and player B's field goal percentage was .506. And once I tell you their names, you'll know why the one's bigger than the other. So you both have player B. I would take player B as well. And based on our top 100 discussion, we all picked the right player. Player A was Kobe Bryant. Player B was Tim Duncan.
Well, I had one of them, but I had him in the wrong spot.
Nice.
I win. You win the game.
That's so good.
I deserve that.
Who? I mean, honestly, how can you choose between the
That
two
was strong.
careers? 2 great careers. I thought I would give it away.
I'm taking
with,
Steve Nash.
I thought I would give it away with the points, but field goal percentage threw that in for a loop. Obviously, Tim Duncan doesn't take as many shots as Kobe, so he's got a higher field goal percentage.
Rings got me, and
And
he
he-
shoots closer to the
and
basket,
higher
so I knew
percentage
he
shots.
would. I knew that was 10.
Rings and league MVPs. I thought would throw you guys off pretty well, but that was pretty fun. I think I like to do this type of stuff every so often, along with the silly questions that I asked. But that was a good one. I thought Kobe
Yeah,
Bryant,
yeah.
Tim Duncan.
great resumes,
How do you
too.
argue? How do you even argue that? They're both
Great
great
resumes.
resumes. So there's that.
Nice work, dude. I'm impressed.
Thanks.
That was fun.
Thanks.
That's why I'm on the show.
Player B was Peyton Manning.
Yeah, that first one I did with the NFL was silly. I should have added rushing yards to pad it a little bit for Cam, but
Yeah.
that was fun for the Super Bowl anyway.
Well, guys, I think that's about all the time we got. I think we did a great show. I had a lot of fun arguing with both of you. Sorry I snapped at you. I hit you
know
also.
what? Gosh, it's a rough episode
Yeah,
for me.
sorry.
I don't even like these guys, to be honest.
Yeah, this was forced. It was
Chad's
Here for the fame.
Chad's here because we feel sorry for him.
Yeah.
Go ahead and comment below with your top 5, also your top 5 starters if you were to build a team, your top 10 players of all time.
And go ahead and throw in active players. Why not? It'll be more discussion and argument for us because I just like to bitch about that.
He just
Make
wants
the
to be mad
That's your
about
third
it.
curse word.
I know. Three strikes for me. That must mean the show's over.
It's done.
Yeah.
So comment below. Also subscribe if you haven't already. Ethan, I expect to see your comment first.
And share our video on Facebook when you're on there.
Yeah,
Watch
would
it.
you mind?
Please just hit the share button. If you're on YouTube, click the share button. Just tell your friends.
Call your mother.
Call your mom, call your dad,
Call
tell
your
him the
mother.
dad's
She'll make a
home.
fucking casserole. Whoa, 4. I'm done.
Hey,
I'm out of here.
get outta here.
I got something to go do.
Twitter,
Yay.
the late hit at 317. I'm sorry, at the late hit 317. Guys, thank you so much. Come on, Abe. What's the matter with you?
Dang.